It's a Late IHP Show with your 5D mystic, ready with stories as we continue chit-chatting about our lovely mental, emotional, and physical self-agents who are lovers. And if you didn't tune in to any of our episodes today, you might want to, and also our past days. And so with securely attached, non-traumatized, healthy self-worth people, we're not looking over our shoulder. Okay, this is the part where I read a little bit to you. Lovers are mental, emotional, physical self-agents who love and pursue ventral vagal state health. And so we're using mindfulness practices with mindset skills because we sift our sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. And then we apply that lovely inner growth mindset. I'm attachment trauma educated. Please remember, I'm the woo-woo pseudoscience lady, not the sciences people. And I get to bring the human, spiritual, and spirituality elements all together. And our lovely academia world keeps expanding, which is why it's really fun to know about not only anima mundi, but also that our animal kingdom continues to expand, and that's with human beings and our animals. Everybody has their own journey. And as I get to keep getting chimed in by lovely God on the don't judge human suffering, a waste of your fucking time, Maria, I keep working with that energetic sphere. And therefore, I can tell you all about those who are our 3D, 4D brothers and sisters with the utmost respect, acceptance, and love. Fear and love have coexisted for years and years and years and years and years, and there you go. And so that's because consciousness, again, to experience itself, split itself into two. And then I'm sure there's more to it, and we bring it all in. Who's we? I do. Because again, I like accepting all and rejecting none, and the only ones who don't know how to do this, they don't know how to handle uncertainty, which means they also don't have access to their heart, and they don't have access to their gut, and they need Patrick Tiahan or Terry to become fierce lovers. Okay, so I don't actually support any of those people who don't take themselves seriously and notice that they don't know how to use their prefrontal cortex and their ventral vagal state. And so we here, 5D Collective, Mystic, Spiritual, Mindful, because I'm in my infinite higher human consciousness potential experience. I'm proof that you can be yourself mindfully as a self-agent with flaws and imperfections, but also with that integrity. So yes, we have the well-being in the forefront with our inner world as the number one embodied brain. It's a nervous system. Emotions are not contagious at all. You know how to differentiate, and if you don't, we practice in our masterclass the lovely 3 nervous system ways that you work with yourself. But again, you have ease and excitement and enthusiasm with the anger, with the sadness, with the afraidness, and with the happiness, the disgustness, and the surpriseness. And so you consistently love to work with emotional awareness and resiliency, and mental comes with it too. And so you tap into the infinite higher human consciousness potential experience, whether you're a mystic, spiritual, or mindful living loving person. Intelligence is fun. That's why we make fun of our ignorant brothers and sisters. Again, they will make fun of us too. We, on the other hand, will live a life that is our authentic self. They will live a life of performance because they're performing for redemption, but it's redemption with shame. So they have implicit memory that leads with this shame stuff. Where's Pat Ogden? Okay, thank you, Pat. So shame has different roots. One, trauma, another relational, developmental, and then potentially both. So trauma, that means trauma charges, and there's big trauma and small trauma. And it's not the events that happen. It's actually your embodied brain that decides how things are going to play out. So the stories don't matter. And that's why we have those who master the dance of life as a party of love right here. And we get to be ourselves as self-agents and lovers with other and or others. We have our lovely polyamory and monoamory community. We respect each other, accept each other, and love each other because we have compersion. So no jealousy. Compersion is the opposite of jealousy. And that's because, again, we're self-empowered, enlightening by the minute, divine masculine, divine feminine. And that doesn't mean twin flame or not twin flame. It means that you are a empowered masculine, empowered feminine. So when you overflow with your humanity, divinity descends. Thank you, lovely Sadhguru. And that divinity doesn't mean that you're embodying it per se, because we will allow ourselves to understand we are still people, and the soul is a frequency. I know all about it, like God is. He's discerning equanimous love for a person like myself. And that's for those of us who do get raised with Christian, Catholic, good catechists who teach us about Jesus, Holy Spirit, and God. And then you also get a human being called parent, at the very bare minimum one, who teaches you what self-respect looks like and what grown-ups who are to be left alone, but who do not respect. Okay, so I learned manners. Integrity is that Maria will not care about what other people say, but I will care about how I feel. So I know what shame is, and I know what guilt is, and I know what definitely if I wanted to have revenge, I can know those, so I can be aware. But what I'm going to say is that I know what truly repenting for sins means, and I don't do a shared fantasy of any type of addiction to roller coasters. So when people hurt each other's feelings and then they become very not nice. I was a teenager when I told you those stories that I did. The one girl who said to me, the only reason this friend of yours told you what they told you is because they want to be with you. And I said, no, they were my friend. That's not true. Just because you had an experience that your friends were jealous and envious of your relationship and made up a rumor that you fucked all boys, but your boyfriend didn't even talk to you about it and you actually took him back. I mean, that's really... And I wouldn't have taken him back at that point because you didn't believe me. You didn't talk to me. You believed everybody else. This shows me that you don't trust me. So this is not a relationship. Friends, doesn't matter. I've had friends who come to me with saying, I have intuitiveness. I know what you're doing. Come again? You're thinking, no. So when you learn from Terrio what adaptive shock part people do, the hypervigilant ones who are watching their fucking back all the time, yes. There's also other attachment coaches and just people in general that have shared with me what those who think they're omnipotent do in their head. Dr. Daniel Fox included. So yeah, I don't do any speculation. That's why I don't assume to know what you're thinking, even if I'm a mystic, because that would be pretty egoically arrogant. Also, I don't rule with effective realism. Again, lovers are lovers because we love with our hearts, because we are guided by our inner child. We have the innocence of the inner child, not hypervigilance. So you're spontaneous and you're enjoying. Okay, so you rule with this. And so, with that being said, we get to be ourselves with our significant other and or others, depending on what kind of dynamic you have, because our default mode network is down-regulated, as we talked about. So my left and right, they work together. I don't scan Maria and you to perform or to get this. Okay, so that's why I'm a self-agent. I also don't need this from society overall, which is why when the comedian called polyamory whores, I said, ha ha ha, I laughed. And when someone said, you're all masochists, I said, not the healthy self-worth ones. And that's when they said, but that's hard. And that's when I said, well, you told me you let your parents decide what you do for work, so you're happy about your life, right? You're fulfilled. I was trying to say that's what healthy self-worth, because I didn't really know how to say that's hard. Okay, what's hard again? Because that's when you're spotted by an insecure person. And when you tell empowered masculines and feminines these stories, they laugh with you. Because they're like, oh my God, low self-esteem, emotional immaturity, wow. And you say, yeah, I know, but what are you going to do? So our emotions and thoughts are experienced with enthusiasm, curiosity, and they are also experienced as an opportunity to be a person of integrity with flaws and emotional and mental maturity, empowerment and mastery, but above all, to be the person you decided to be. Okay, so when you meet a true leader, they will lead you to bring forth the best of you. If you meet a true leader, it will not be because they're louder, it will be because they empower you, which is why you'll know who are the true data people versus the storytellers. And when Schopenhauer talks to us about appealing to a large audience and it being the masses, I got taught why humanity turned their back on God by my good catechists. Number one, neuroscience proves there's no demons. Patrick McNamara, thank you. So when I get data, I add it to Anima Mundi. And as a smart human being and many more that study consciousness and they have had their Satori experiences, they will let you know nobody knows the future. intelligence, consciousness always wins. It's a master of its own self, and it wants to keep experiencing itself. And Sadhguru will inform you, or at least he informed me as I'm watching him, when I watch him, that we are at this very specific circle or cycle, and that we have these many more. And it'll be his last lifetime, where I teased him. And then I said, "You were wrong, Maria. He's right." So self-agent knows how to say, "I'm wrong, you're right, so sorry." And that's men and women, okay? And that's why we have a good time. So love is a permanent state that we live enthusiastically. In fact, when you hear somebody say, "Oh, I love these people," no, I don't. I'm being sarcastic, because I don't love human suffering. I still judge it a waste of my fucking time, and God keeps chiming in, because that's actually how I continue also, by the way, expanding, is by spotting all the ones who haven't achieved love yet. Love is not a permanent state of enthusiasm that just exists. So anytime I'm hearing the suffering tale, I'm like, yeah, it does exist. That's right here. That's a challenge? No, it's not a challenge to consistently bring forth love. I chose it when I said yes to Jesus, God, and Holy Spirit. In my catechism, I got taught what love is. Death do part, sickness and in health, rich or poor. I don't make a relationship work. I actually believe in the relationship. And then as a functional child adult, like with the teenage boyfriend, again, I present to you my self-agency. And by the third time I said, okay, now this is getting ridiculous. It's been 3 years. We're growing up. I'm getting ready to go to school. This isn't going to work. Okay, so emotions, they travel faster than thought. And when you're an emotionally aware, resilient person, that's why the brain is running a model of its body. Thank you, Lisa. And my thoughts and my emotions work together, because my body works with my mind, because I work with my brain, because it's an integrated brain, and I'm a securely attached, non-traumatized person. That's our 5D collective. Okay, so love is permanent, and it's a permanent state thanks to choosing to anchor in ventral energy through engaging. So this is your choice again, the ventral vagal state, through learning how to use your nervous system, because you can contain sensations, images, behaviors, affects, meanings. You also have integrated your brain, so you have earned secure attachment, or you just have secure attachment because you have a higher self. None of your child parts are charged. You don't go looking for people to take your side. You can spot the liars like I can, and that's why we make fun of them here at Cusco's. And so through mindfulness practices with mindset skills and an inner growth mindset, you're still inside. That stillness comes because you have a ventral vagal state and you're in eustress. So emotions, when you are an emotional, mental, physical master of yourself, okay, so you don't have any kind of addiction to drama, and that's the hypervigilance and the someone's going to fuck me over in your head, in your imagination. That actually intermittent reinforcement of this ups and downs is what people do when they're having a story. That's why I actually bought a book, and there's a course also that I might take eventually on how people are hooked not only on their stress modulated, but also drama, and so drama stories. But love in the meantime is permanent for the 5D collective as functional child adults who say yes, yes to integration. Okay, that's very important, because some say, I don't want it. They actually say, is that I have to integrate, because they're afraid. And the therapist said, don't worry, we're going to take it easy and you don't have to. We get you to your well-being. That's the smart therapist. I do personal development, self-help, again, spiritual growth for those who are excited about emotions and thinking. So thought. And so you say yes, yes to integration and the restorative embodiments. And you say yes to the restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating, resiliency, lifestyle ideas, and mindfulness practices, and those mindset skills with the inner growth mindset, or with whatever other words you use. But you love navigating your mental, emotional, and physical plane. So you love navigating your body, your mind, and your brain. Since it's integrated, you're also therefore navigating your heart and yourself, and you're navigating it aligned harmoniously in the state of love that comes from using your social engagement system. And so your love isn't a performance, because you're yourself as a self-agent, and you consistently will love. So you're creating secure connections, even when those who were at one point, like the teenage boyfriend, a secure attachment figure, all our relationships flourish. That's why I have expanded my oversoul, not diminished it. But also our partnership and our partnerships, they flow, they grow, and they flourish as long as the two people are flourishing and have compersion and are happy together. On the other hand, when we're no longer expanding consciousness, that's when it transforms to a secure connection. And so for romantic relationships, if you're an empowered feminine and or an empowered masculine, I'm an empowered feminine, I talk for myself, you'll look to the past and say, all my relationships were awesome. They all taught me stuff, and they all taught me to continue being the very version of Maria I wanted to be. I haven't changed one bit. I've consistently expanded to become more of who I am. And that's where, when I got told in one of my relationships, I thought you would change, I said, what? 4 years? What? I thought you'd change. I told you I don't change. That's one of the things I told you immediately. This is who I am. This is who you get. This doesn't make sense to me, what you're saying. No. And he gave me an example. I said, you're still not making any sense. And then he said, look, okay, let me put it this way. You know how you're doing what you're doing and what your plans are? Okay, so let's pretend you give it all up the way you're saying you will, so that we can save this relationship 10 years down the line. He said, you're going to hate me. You're right. Yes. Thank you so much, friends. It is. And I have a soul sister and family. So that's where I don't like to use the word exes. That's why polyamory, the solo poly community, believes in, we experience relationship anarchy. It's not because we don't know poly fidelity. No, we move into different vessels depending on our chosen partners and our chosen conversations. But the anarchy thing, it's because I ain't doing hierarchy. There ain't no 1, 2, 3. What are you doing? There's not a more love, less love, favorite person, less favorite person. No. That's actually quite, what's it called? That's not nice. You're being mean right now. As an eternal child, you don't ask me to choose between my brothers and sisters. So when a lover gets sat down as a teenager again by people who say you cannot love all people equally, you're just trying to be different. I can love people all equally because that's how I, as a differentiated self called Maria, I can use all those. So I don't need to have redeeming qualities, because society consistently to this day, whether it's polyamory or monoamory, you're not poly enough. I'm like, that ain't love. Monoamory, I didn't cheat, but I left because, I don't think that's love either. Till death do you part, sickness and in health, riches and poor, better or for worse. Let me think of those words. Are those hard words to understand? Now, the thing is, though, if you call marriage a ball and a chain and you're stagnating, and I got this guy who did a TEDx who actually did this thing where he said, didn't you see all these old people? He made a whole video and these people applauded him. And they all need Terreal, because he talks to you about how people become stagnating balls and chains. And he's like, I'll help you become a fierce lover. And that's because he works with these people. And so thank goodness Terreal's out there. I don't need Terreal because I ain't growing a ball and chain. What the fuck is that? Oh, how do you stagnate in a relationship? Where are you coming into a relationship from? Didn't you know what you're getting yourself into? So thanks to being ourselves mindfully and spiritually, we face change as self-agents, and that is with a very welcoming and a very curious modality, because emotions don't make us afraid. So we see every opportunity in the change as owners of the sense of self. And so you expand consciously, and I want to actually finish reading a little bit of this, and then we're going to get back to teasing. But you have the opportunity to continue building emotional, mental, not only awareness, but enhancing those skills and resiliency. And that's because that's how you continue to integrate and you continue to live life. And so you get to have fun with the right mode, which enjoys the journey and the process, and the left mode, which enjoys to organize things and have right and wrong, but it doesn't make it right or wrong in a rigid way. It allows itself to know these areas show that that's an ineffective way to do something. These areas show that it's an effective way, right or wrong. When people are hurting emotionally each other, this is where it gets a lot more in depth. But if you have a self-agent, it won't happen. If you get a mentally, emotionally, and physically mature person in front of you, you're a whore, you're a masochist, you're blah, 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 you don't know what faithfulness is. You're traumatized, Maria. Yes, just keep them coming. I'm waiting for more. So this is the part of where love is consistently compersion. It's the opposite of jealousy. Teenage boyfriend, we're at our 4th year. Oh, life and relationships never get old, boring, or stagnating. Again, we love leading life, and that's in our flow state, what you see here, and it's anchored in our ventral energy. And so we live the infinite higher human conscious, but I do. You can live it too. It is invigorating, and as an expanding piece of consciousness, I can tell you that I love to love, and my baby, he loves to laugh and live and learn and expand and not cast stones, because he's definitely going to expand, not stay a limited piece of consciousness, because otherwise we won't be intriguing to each other at all. He's going to be, has to be mindful, flawed, with integrity. And that's the part of empowered masculine, are all these things. That's where empowered feminine too. And so there's a way that we know what other people say about us doesn't matter. We will not be ashamed of what we have done. We have integrity. And so with that, empowered masculine feminine walk like an Egyptian. They know how to understand right and wrong, good and bad. And that's with a self-agent approach. Okay, so lovers, because we're not doing it with projection. It's very clear when there's a charge. And if you're an empowered masculine or feminine, you're going to notice your charge, because it's going to dumb you down. Because you're going to notice that you were reactive. You're also going to notice that your energy is small, because you're going to feel it. So when you're a lover, you notice these things. Again, when you are not a lover, you are seeking to stay in this, and you seek a group that pats you on the back, and that's why they're all cowards. Because when I see these groups, it makes me think of emotionally immature, backstabbing assholes who don't know what it means to have integrity. And I will go back to the teenage boyfriend, and I do want to find something. For better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. When I got to be raised by my Christian Catholic upbringing, I love my catechists. I used to think that one day that teenage boyfriend and I would get married in church, because I was going to say this is the only way we're going to stay together. And no, I won't be getting married in the, civil union thing. No, you're going to do it in church. Otherwise, it's not going to happen, because I'm a black and white thinker as a teenager, like anybody else. And so by the time I'm 19, I'm still very much committed. When we break up, obviously, this is where everything else continued to move along smoothly. And today I can say that this is the part of, it's not the church, it's not the sacrament, it's not the monogamists or the monoamory that will actually keep their word. No. As Bill O'Hanlon, LMFT, points out, it's not enough to ask people about a positive experience. It's about savoring that experience and getting them to stay with it. If I got a siren in my room, I got a person who's lethargic. I got a person who's got shit going down. They don't know how to stand up together in the morning, and that is not going to go anywhere, because sooner or later, anybody who doesn't actually want to love is going to be very bored and uninterested in a securely attached, non-traumatized, healthy self-worth man or woman or they, which is why Terry Real is awesome, because he's there for those who want to be fierce lovers. Patrick Chan is awesome because he's there for the people who want to stop dating beneath themselves and to actually know what it means to be strong. I'm here to let you know that lovers already know what it takes, which is, I know what I want and what is important to me, and if you're going to accompany me, you're going to know that that which is a cherishable belief, you don't have to believe in it. And so in this case, this teenage boyfriend, when he's telling me that I only believe in God because I'm afraid, I'm like, no, it's in my bones. Today, I will tell you, I do not agree in any way, shape, or form with any of that which is yesterday's news, in a way of it being divisive. The divisive part is the aspect of telling me that tradition knows what man and woman are going to bring to the table. Tradition is actually something that I'm going to say is honored by those who have integrity, not by man and woman who actually, I'll see people reading scripture of men wanting to be able to beat their wives and stuff like that. So integrity is what leads. Grown-ups who know what leads, again, they will talk about, like the book that I'm a co-author of, The Ways to God, integrity, women that we get to have our spiritual stories and share with others, and people who don't like it and who actually come in at those of us who are expressing what is accepting all and rejecting none. We won't actually get in your face, because again, God is discerning in Quantumist Love. That's the title of my chapter. intelligence, consciousness is not going to um, actually wreak havoc and come and scare and punish. And so when you're hearing somebody making out drama out of their mouth as they're reading something from yesterday's news, you got a person who's playing to a crowd. Anybody watch Moana when she actually convinces him to go with her and she's brushing his ego? I mean, really, it's so easy for an empowered feminine to notice when someone is insecure, because it's the minute that you need all of this going on that I can tell you're not motivated on your own. And so yeah, this is where you're vulnerable. You have no self-agency yet, not with the mastery of your own bonding or your own certainty. So you don't have a mastery over your sadness or your fear. Because you may think that through anger you have mastery. It's very easy to say, I'm going to fucking beat you up. It's easy to get caught into what is a bullshit story, which is like movies, and you're not doing anything except for a story. And so yeah, the people who don't know what love is, it's hard. It's not hard to keep a relationship. As a 45-year-old woman, you go back, you can look and you say, wow, it's all been amazing because I've grown more loving, I've grown more passionate, I've grown more of who I am. That's how you know if you are a self-aware, accountable, regulating person at the very bare minimum, because you don't have a bunch of trauma charges that are still charged and that you want people to come take your side and tell you you're right and they're assholes. You're right and they're assholes. You're right. So people who continue to want people to pick sides in a way of justifying, again, there's, what is it? Rejection, abandonment, injustice, betrayal, humiliation, shame, wounds. You don't know how to stand on your own 2 feet without other people taking your side. So you are vulnerable to society's approval. Means you don't know self-acceptance, that you could be considered crooked. You could be considered the very biggest asshole ever. And as someone looks you in the eyes and actually makes a false accusation, you won't know how to stand in your integrity. And here's why. Thanks, Patrick Chan, for helping those kids who are grown-ups to become people who can look at a boss in their face and not have 1 inch of shame, because I don't need to have shame. I didn't do anything. So when you get taught self-respect by a person who's a grown-up and you have it and you know what guilt is, because you'll know what it means to say, I'm ashamed, I did wrong. And that's very little, by the way, because once you've done it once, and you're committing yourself to be the person you want to be, it's easy for Maria to tell you all, yes, it's not hard to commit to being kind. Why would I ever be unkind and ask you to be kind to me? That's a hypocrite. That's how literal my brain is. Why would I say yes to Jesus and forgiveness and all that and then not do it? I would be a liar. I don't want to be a liar. Why would I lie? Cowards lie. I don't want to be a coward. So you consistently expand as you notice how to stay clear in your conscious, because your child's innocence doesn't get lost. Because when I met 11, 12-year-olds who started to get mean and become idiots, and I'm in college now and there's more idiots, I mean, really, buffoons. This is how it works when you're a child who doesn't lose your child's innocence, because you can't make me think ill of human beings. God created us. Don't you understand? That's why you can't tell me about Lucifer, because one, Lucifer is the fallen angel. God always wins. I'm going to pick that angel up from the floor. There you go. You're up. Go. Have a good time, Pinocchio. And no, I'm not going to pick you up and stick around, because I'm going to actually be the ventral energy that's going to pick you up. But what's going to come up, if you don't want to welcome it, you're not going to want to be around me. And at a certain point, I'm going to say, excuse me, come again. I think you have the wrong person. So healthy self-worth women, we will know how to actually speak up. Healthy self-worth men will know how to speak up. And we won't do it by calling into question your character, because that's actually reactivity and insecurity. We will do it by saying, this is not something that I'm actually. You'll maintain a ventral vagal stance. That's what happens when you have an empowered person. We also don't have to school anyone. So just because I'm in my ventral vagal doesn't mean that another person has to be in their ventral vagal. but they will not be somebody who comes in a specific way with specific ways of speaking, because we all have very clear knowingness of what respect means. So you respect each other by speaking to each other. That's why nobody's going to be redeeming any child parts if you're self-agents. That's you don't talk down to me, I don't talk down to you, I don't talk above, I don't talk below. But there's also this thing called our tones can trigger each other. So being open to conversations is why you don't argue with a partner. If you're a fierce lover, you have conversations. You're not afraid of sharing what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and it's feeling and thinking. That's the part of why it's immediately, here's what I'm feeling right now, here's the story I'm telling myself. Terriel, you're awesome, man. And so yeah, love as you grow. As a teenager, I didn't have the same ventral stance because I was a teenager, but at the third cheating incident, I said, this is getting ridiculous now. I'm getting ready to leave. You need to, make up your mind. We don't have to be together. This is just starting to be very childish because we're growing up. And when it was over again, the best thing ever, yes. And no, I didn't let him get away. Not my dog. So when you meet those who know what commitment is, they know what commitment is because they're committed to being the best version of themselves. And that's with unconditional love, not conditions. Unconditional because we're all flawed and imperfect. Otherwise, they're a person who doesn't understand what it means to be flexible, adaptive, coherent, and energized, and compassionate with themselves. They may not like to use the word, but they'll have to use the neutrality to be able to sift through the walk like an Egyptian, though it's a very specific way. Truth. You want your body to feel safe as you're exploring something with yourself, and that's how then you expand. Self-aware, accountable, regulating people, they know this. The 5D collective are intuitively fitting every day more into their restorative embodiment and their self-awareness, and they actually work with the different emotions: anger, fear, sadness, disgust, surprise, happiness, in their own way, even though I'm going to say the 3 subcortical areas are the most important that I've noticed. So anger, fear, and sadness. And that's not with us, but with themselves. And so intuitively, a lover will know what they're getting to process, and an empowered masculine, empowered feminine will know how they're expanding each other. And that's why counterparts, the divine stuff, you don't need to use those words, but counterparts will expand each other by the minute. And it's a thrill. It's an amazing thrill. It's beautiful. So you don't actually miss out on anything. And I'm trying to think right now, because I know that there are people who tell you that you need to suffer in order to expand and you need to lose things. I didn't lose shit. I've expanded consistently. I got more oversoul. I got more friends. I got more love. I got more everything. And there is this thing called, I believe, cosmic karmic balance. And I'll never forget, on this very specific day, when this thing happened, nothing was taken away from me. I have nothing ever been taken away from my personal, spiritual, and mindful and personal development and growth journey. So I come to you here saying I consistently am myself. I know where I'm lucky. And I say that way anyone who feels like it's not that easy, I'm not saying it's easy, but for me it is. Doesn't have to be for you. No, it doesn't mean that I have one emotion. It means I use my ventral vagal state. Like I said again, I'm using my prefrontal. 90 seconds is how much an emotion lasts when you're able to pick yourself up with your ventral vagal state, be in eustress and say, it'll be okay, because my brain don't tell my body you're a piece of shit, or myself. My brain says, what's going on? Oh, well, some stuff's going on. Oh, well, dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds, unwanteds from an open heart while going with the flow. So you don't need to be watching your back because your faith in humanity doesn't get broken. As again, God made us, and every person has the kingdom of God within them if they want it. They don't have to have it. And when they don't want it, they're not Lucifer or demons. They're people who need therapy, because I don't use evil from philosophical or religious textbooks. Michael Stone, he has a forensic criminologist scale. They all fit the bill, and you better bet 7 to 14 ain't charming me. But those masses, oh, do they flock to their cauldrons and that fancy lady in her suit? Dangerous to have no emotions. Not inherently true that it's healthy or enlightening to be non-reactive. I know why she's there, like the fancy man in the suit. And that's the part of where I have already shared with you all, love accepts defeat. fear will consistently coexist with love. It's defeat because I, as a human, know that that means I have brothers and sisters out there who are in their modulated, dysregulated body with a biochemistry of fear, being unkind to each other for nothing more than a lot of different reasons. And the I'm going to fuck you up if you touch me one more time, or whatever the fuck they do. I don't know, because I don't hang out with unhealthy self-worth people. I'm decent enough to be saluted is a perfect example of one of them. And I, by the end of the evening, no, we won't become friends. Yes, we do frequent the same place. No, we won't be talking. Yes, we will be seeing each other. No, we won't hang out. But so, this is the part of, oh, you're putting up barriers. No, I'm not. I'm just telling you how it's going. Your body comes with first and foremost, then the following is what you're feeling and thinking. Don't matter what another person's doing. I'm telling you the truth, and you don't have to believe in me. And I don't have to believe in you, and we don't have to like each other because I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you, and I am not speaking words that are being rude to you. I'm actually telling you how it's going to be because I'm a differentiated self, and you don't have to like me, and I don't have to like you. I'm actually being as polite as can be while I'm in the presence of a biologically rude person who has shit to heal with Terry Real or Patrick Jan, not with me. So women telling me I'm too serious and men telling me I don't know how to use my words. No, I know exactly, but thank you for your opinions. I will gladly take them into consideration. The word part, the serious, no. I was serious at 4 when I got rejected by boys because I wanted to read to them, and I'm still serious because I'm thorough, and what it is that I'm a self-agent who has healthy self-worth, so I won't put up with shit if I don't like it. There's nothing that I need to be ashamed of because that's how everyone rules. Difference is I have the capacity to say, yeah, I'm a self-agent who knows what I like and I know what I don't like. I didn't think that I was supposed to actually make friends with people that I don't like. I don't understand. That's not a law. If one day there's a law, well, I guess I will be able to practice all the patience in the world. There's no law for now that I have to be friends with every man and woman out there. And people say, so you don't love all people equally? And then I say, okay, you want to bring me down your breadcrumb trails? Keep on moving. Let me see what you dress me up like today, Cusco, because that's what adaptive child part people do. They just can't handle leaving it alone. And then they'll say, and you? And I'll say, yes, I'm a 3-year-old right now, and I'm telling you how I want my differentiated self to speak the words that I just spoke to. I can keep this. This is the song that never ends, and it goes on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was. Ask my younger sister, because she made this statement once. What happens if you put Maria in a room with adolescents? Who's going to come out winning this one? I don't try. I'm just that curious. And I have that much to share. So, quirks. But anyways, we'll be back with more at some other point. In the meantime, lovers stay lovers and they have a good time. And I hope you enjoyed some stories and some data. And remember, I'm the woo pseudoscience lady. I can fuck it up, forget it, and mix it up. But be yourself mindfully with flaws, imperfections, and above all with integrity. So yes, empowered counterparts, they walk a walk and talk a talk together. And they expand each other. It's really amazing. And I can tell you all how amazing... Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket. Never let it fade away. And also, we love to love and we love to live and expand and not cast stones and continue to have a good time. So I'm going to let you go. Thanks for stopping by.